And if you can do me a favor, do you have you got access to Facebook on your phone? Can you go to the MyNEWPhilly Facebook page? I'm just have you check with me and let me know that you hear me fine through the through your phone. And tell me your name one more time. Dorian. Well, I think I just did my own test, Dorian. I just saw the replay of me checking with you and checking your name. So to all the folks who are tuning in on the MyNEWPhilly Facebook page, welcome, welcome. We're just getting started a couple minutes late. I want to see if anyone else is coming here in person. You guys can't see him on camera, but my man Dorian's down here with me, trying to get his hand around some networking. Today, we're going to be talking about the ins and outs of networking, both in personal and virtual. Both are now very important. I'll admit I was not too keen on virtual networking a year plus ago. And now that it's commonplace, not only did I embrace it, but I want to kind of teach you some techniques and some things to do, what not to do when networking virtually. So because we are doing these sessions in person and virtually, there'll be a few times you'll see me reference Dorian or anyone else who comes and joins us in person today. But again, I'm going to be looking at all the questions, all the comments, all the responses on the laptop. So if you are watching at home, please share. And of course, please engage. Feel free to throw any questions or thoughts, comments, anything you have, write in the comments, and I'll be happy to answer them. And we'll get started in just one moment. Okay. Again, just reminding folks, please share the show. I'm actually taking a moment to share it on my Facebook page right now, my personal Facebook page, to make sure folks can check this out and get some of this information. Again, a big key to growing your business, your brand, especially as a creative, is networking and resources, building your funnel of connections. You've heard that term, it's not what you know, it's who you know. Well, that does play a role in growing your business and brand. And I'm going to teach you some techniques on really how to build those relationships strong as you also hone your craft. But in just one moment, I'm going to share this on my page. I suggest you all do the same. We are again live on the MyNEWPhilly Facebook page. And as soon as I share it, we'll jump right into today's topic. And again, tomorrow we're going to be doing Canva 101, which I'm really excited about. I think we have 30 or 40 people signed up online to join that class. There's still more room. So if you still want to sign up for any of these, by all means, feel free to. And you can register at our Eventbrite link, which I'll also put up on the screen. Another reminder, make sure you're dropping your email. If you're watching with us on Facebook, Dorian, I'm going to make sure I get yours too. But make sure you're watching that or that you're putting that in so you can be entered to win some of the items that we're going to be giving away at the end of this month. I believe we have some ring lights, we have some phone gimbals, we have some microphones, just really great equipment to help any content creator really get started. Dorian, since you're here, you're going to be my helper. If you hear me go silent at any point, let me know. That means my Bluetooth died, but I charged it up pretty good today, so we should be good. But yeah, let me just share this right now. You know what? One thing I'm gonna tell Facebook, if y'all listening to me, this is one thing I don't like about your app. If you manage a lot of pages, so for example, I manage the MyNEWPhilly page and I'm going on the page to share, it's very hard to find out how to make it me who's sharing it. So it's asking me to share as MyNEWPhilly, and I don't want to do that. So work that out, make that easier. I feel like all that money y'all got, you can do that little bit of advancement and hook us up. But there we go. There we go. Okay. So let's get right into it. Let's talk a little bit about networking today. And I actually am going to start some things off by telling you a little bit about who I am. So I want to make sure you guys can see this screen on Facebook. And Dorian, I'm sure you can see this as well. But I call this session Network Like a Boss. I've been teaching this session for about 6-7 years now, really to college kids that went to the school I went to. I'm a Temple University graduate. And I would go back and teach this to them, giving them some of the skill sets that they need when they're about to go out into the professional world and network. Regardless if you went to college, if you're coming out of high school, if you're about to be in a space where you're going to be dealing with adults, dealing with professionals, really learning these sort of skills are a basic foundation to your success. So I think it's very, very important for all young folks to kind of know how to network. But again, a little bit more about me. So as I said, I went to Temple University. I graduated in 2008, which makes me feel super old just saying that. That was what, 13 years ago? Jeez. Okay, so I graduated Temple 13 years ago. I also went to Upper Marion High School. My partners, Ebony and Kyrie, tease me all the time. They keep telling me I'm not from West Philly. I am from West Philly, born, not raised. That's all that is. We moved out to the Upper Marion area when I was probably like 4. So really young. But I actually moved back to West Philly, lived right on 50th and Arch the whole time I went to Temple, and I was a super senior there. I was at Temple for 6 years. Not because I took extra classes, it's because I paid my way through and it took forever. But I studied sport and recreation management, and I really wanted to get into this field because I kind of thought it sounded easy. I figured if I can talk sports during college, that'll make my college experience a little simpler. And I actually found out that STHM, the School of Sport, Tourism, Hospitality Management, is one of the best sport and rec programs in the country. And it was not a cakewalk, but I loved it. And I really got interested in the behind the scenes of professional sports, which ended up taking me to New Jersey and got me my first full-time career out of school, which was working for the New Jersey Nets. I did ticket sales, which at its core, the number one thing we had to do was network. We did it was very sales focused, but again, sometimes they'll hand you leads and they'll say, hey, go call the people in the phone book. But the best way to actually close a sale was to go out and meet people and build relationships, learn about them, show that you care about them, and then, get to the point where, they have to figure out why they aren't saying yes soon enough because they like your product and they like you. But I did that for years with the Nets, transitioned to customer service, and then went back to sales when we got ready to go to Brooklyn because it was a little too enticing to not get back on the sales bandwagon at that point. It was a very hot ticket, to say the least, in New York. But I left them in 2014 and moved back to Philly. And that's when I founded Rebel Hill Consulting, which is my consulting group where I help small businesses, entrepreneurs, nonprofits grow their brands through strategic marketing, content creation, a lot of sales techniques as well. I kind of call myself a Zack of all trades. I like to help brands grow no matter what is needed. And some things I either do myself or I have a team of partners that I can bring in to do it. One of those main partners is MyNEWPhilly. I came on board with MyNEWPhilly as a business development sales consultant role back in 2015, looking to sell commercials and stuff. And I got bit by the content bug. Being in this space, which I'm sure some of you have seen this studio before, it's hard to not be inspired. I got to see people on the creative side, from in front of the camera, from behind the camera. Then I kind of got that interest to do the same thing. And I was much more behind the camera than a front of the camera guy. So I really enjoyed pre-production and production. And I took my hands onto our sports content because that's the space that I was most comfortable with and most familiar with. So for the past 4 years, I've been doing sports content, a focus on sports content, and helped us create some of our greatest sports shows and pieces of content that we've done to date at MyNEWPhilly, stuff that we're all super, super proud about. But MyNEWPhilly, I use the MyNEWPhilly team for other creative projects, for doing commercials and shoots for some of my clients. My other partner on there, Navitas Marketing, that is a marketing firm based out in Trooper, PA. And that does your traditional website, social media management, SEO, search engine optimization. We provide a ton of services to help businesses grow, which is kind of similar to the goals that I have when it comes to the Rebel Hill Consulting brand. Hi, come on in. So the main difference there is they do it as an agency. So they're a much larger entity and corporation than Rebel Hill Consulting. So I'm able to take on bigger clients. And of course, when I'm overwhelmed on my end, I can actually share work and bring it over to the Navitas marketing side. And then also there's the Mystifying Diversity podcast. This is actually fairly new for me. This was a client going into 2020. As you know, we've all had a crazy 2020. Everything changed a lot. And in that process, I've actually helped them launch their podcast, which was all about diversity, equity, and inclusion. And in that space, I ended up learning a lot. I decided I wanted to, push some of those initiatives forward. And going into 2021, I became a partner in the podcast. So now, not only do I help produce the podcast, but we also do diversity, equity, and inclusion training for companies, for organizations, for schools, students, and the like. And just a little bit other stuff before we jump into networking, some other stuff about me. I love helping people. I love helping others. I've sat on the board for 6 or 7 nonprofits at this point. I'm currently sitting on 2 boards, and I love just providing information and trying to educate folks and assist. That's why this element right here is what I love. I enjoy doing this, just like our other instructors as well, Vern and Ebony, Kai and James. Another passion is bike riding. I don't look like a bike rider. I just got into bike riding. I bought a bike a month ago, and I'm loving it. I'm trying to get my miles up and trying to really get healthy riding a bike. So if we got any bike riders out there, again, throw something in the comments and we'll get a ride in at some point. And I love cooking and barbecuing. Cooking, I'm getting good at it, but a smoker, I'm buying a smoker soon and I'm gonna be throwing down. So maybe we'll do a tutorial on that at some point in the near future. But before we jump into it, I actually had some other folks come here in person. Hi, how are you? What's your name? Tasha? Yes. Nice, Tasha. Thanks for coming. Awesome. So let's jump right into it. And I'm not going to have you guys following this the whole time. You'll see me bounce back and forth from sharing my screen and then just talking to you guys and actually talking to some of the folks I have here in person. But I wanted to kind of give you guys a basics to start with. What the heck is networking? So the definition of it is the process of establishing a community of people or relationships where value is circulated and given back and forth. So let's break that down a little bit. So it's a community, just like you have your neighborhood community, just like you have your family community. This is a community, but the difference here is you're kind of handpicking it. This is the community of people that you've picked to be in your circle, not just because there's something they can do for you, but there's stuff that you can do for them. You really want to have a relationship that kind of can go both ways. Now, that's not always seen up front. There's sometimes ways where you connect with folks and you're able to help them right off the bat, and they're not able to do it for you right away. And that's perfectly fine. You ever heard that term, what goes around comes around? When you do good things for people, it comes back to you. So don't sweat it. Just continue to want to help others and it will come back to you as well. But you want to have that sort of cyclical relationship when it comes to networking. And a couple, 3 things, points to point out. Number 1, you want to understand what you want to get out of networking. So I say this for a couple different reasons. When I say what you want to get out of it, you gotta understand not everyone's meant to network. I know plenty of school teachers. Networking isn't high on their priority list. Bus drivers, there's plenty of professions where networking isn't really part of what's going to help them do better or make more revenue or grow. But in this space, content creation and creatives, if you're being a photographer, a videographer, an actress, a host, all networking can help you grow in those spaces. And there's one particular reason why. It's not just the what you know, who you know sort of aspect, but it's also the part that you always are getting better, right? So let's say you're a bus driver. A bus driver who knows how to drive, granted they're going to learn their route a little bit better, they're not going to be a better driver 2 months, 2 years, 10 years down the line, not drastically, and definitely not because they met another bus driver. Whereas if you are a videographer and you hang around other videographers, you're going to pick up skills. You're going to become a better videographer just from the proximity. So that's what I mean by, some professions don't really need to network, whereas some, you're actually going to increase your skill set by networking. So that's part of that give and take. What are you giving them? What are they giving you, and vice versa? They're giving you knowledge. They're giving you experience. They're helping you gain the knowledge so that you don't make mistakes, when you normally would in the normal cycle if you didn't have someone. So that whole mentor-mentee relationship, that plays a lot into networking as well. Not every person you meet or network with should be a mentee or a mentor. I'm not saying that, but there's a value in every single relationship, and some are extensive to the point where they become a mentor-mentee relationship. And again, the crew around here, we don't shy away from those sorts of relationships. Another thing is you want to put yourself in rooms to meet the type of people you want. So we're going to dive into this a little bit later, but let's say you're a creative and you want to meet other creatives. Well, you're not going to network in certain areas that creatives don't exist. You have to put yourself in the spaces where they are. We know of our good friends over at MNP and all the great things they do with creatives. Clearly here as MyNEWPhilly, a great location for you to meet the right types of folks. Hi, how are you? Come on in. So that's a really big key, is putting yourself in the right rooms. And we're going to do a little research in a little bit to talk about how do you find the right places for you to be in. Hi, how are you doing? What's your name? Yasmin. What is it? Yasmin. I feel like I remember you, Yasmin. Did you come to some of our stuff last year?
No, but I go to Eastern.
Okay. Say it again. Eastern. No, well, I know of Eastern, but I don't know. You look familiar to me anyway. We all cousins. Yeah. We all cousins. So we're just going over the basics, and you came perfect time. We just got started, Yasmin. So so you want to understand what you want to get out of networking, and then you want to put yourself in the room to meet the right type of people you want. Another big key is you got to be yourself and give value. Give value, give back. That is probably the number one thing that you'll find across anyone who tries to teach you the basics of networking or next level networking, is giving value. You really have to be selfless to want to constantly think of others first. There's a really good book that I'll put in, and I apologize, I didn't make a book list on this, but it's a very simple title. It's called The Go-Giver. So 2 words, The Go-Giver. I hate reading, and I have no shame in that. I will tell you, I did the audiobook, and it was fantastic. It put a lot of things in context for me, because I already had the mentality of the go-giver. I just didn't know how to put it in the words, or didn't know why I was doing what I was doing. But I was always called to helping other people when it would come to building relationships. So I haven't met someone at an event, I would be the first one to want to know what they do, because I want to know what they need. And if I know what they need, I might be able to suggest either a person they can talk with that might be the person that gets to know what they need, or I might have a solution right away. Now, doesn't mean the solution's a service I offer. If it is, that's a double win. I can help them and it helps me. But in general, I just want to know, how can I help someone else? And that can be business, that can also be personal. Some of the networking groups that I'm in right now, we have a moment where everyone gets to ask about something that they need that has nothing to do with business. And you'd be surprised. Sometimes it's you're looking for a job for a cousin. Sometimes you need a plumber at your house and you don't know the right person to call. Like, helping people in any form or facet is beneficial, and it does come back to you. It's good karma as well. Mm-hmm.
Sometimes I feel like I'm a great helper,
mm-hmm.
but sometimes when I ask people they need help, sometimes I feel like my assumption experience it intimidates others. So it's like, I want to help you, but I don't want you to feel like, oh, she's so good at helping me, I don't want her to take over.
Gotcha. And for anyone who might not have heard that, we had a question about sometimes when you offer to help someone, them feeling or not wanting to feel like you're going to take over the scenario. Is that right? So there's an art to the communication, which is something that might have to be a networking 2.0. But every time I'm trying to help someone, and I try to do this my best, I'll even admit, I've even had a recent situation where I thought I was helping someone and they felt that I was stepping on their toes or being too overbearing. That happens. but I do my best to try to eliminate that by the tone and the way that I offer my help. So I do it in very much a conversational way, not a here's what you should do way. And a lot of folks will receive that a lot better, and it makes them think that they came up with the ideas. So instead of saying, hey, I think you should, create this design in this sort of way, say, hey, what if you did this to this design? What do you think that would look like? And now they're coming up with the, oh yeah, no, if we tweak it this way, I think it makes sense. So it's almost like you're more guiding them than providing them advice. There are some scenarios where you can't help but step in and do it because maybe they're just not, they're not able to actually get to where they need to get to. And maybe you do have to step up a little bit more. But I think that's the biggest key is you can tell someone the worst news in the world, but if you communicate it a certain way, you're going to have the best advantage possible for you. And that's a big part of networking too. It's communication. And I never want people to think of this word in a negative way, but it's persuasion. How do I get you to feel the way I want you to feel or think the way I want you to think? How do I get you to like me? All those are part of persuasion, it's part of networking. It doesn't mean it's not genuine, but it is something that you have to factor in when communicating because some people receive information in a certain way. And you knowing that now can change the way you present it so they receive it in the way you want it to receive it. So it's a tricky balance. It takes years of experience to really get good at knowing how to say certain things the right way to the right person, even though that sounded confusing, but it's something that you just get and build up over time by the more people you deal with. And that's partially why I love talking about networking is I've gotten good at it because I put myself in that space countless of times. And I have no shortage of saying the word countless in terms of how many people I networked with. We used to go to 4 events a week, 60 people in each event. I'm probably meeting 15 to 20. That's 40, 50 business cards and more than just getting a card, but 40 or 50 people you're meeting and trying to have a follow-up relationship with and communicate. I did that for 7, 8 years. So I've met a lot of a-holes. I've met a lot of amazing people. I met a lot of people who are helpless and they're in a tough situation and don't know how to get themselves out of it. I've met people that are a straight blessing to my life, and I can't imagine if I didn't meet them. You come across such a rainbow of folks that you start to get to know how to communicate best to them based on the situation. So it's one of those things that's you got to kind of do it delicately how you want to communicate with them, but also there will be people who just don't receive help well. So that also can be tough when you get into that sort of a scenario too. And let me put this in just to make sure folks can hear me all the way. So again, before we step on to the next thing, again, for folks who are watching on Facebook, make sure you are putting your email in the comments. We are giving away some content creator tools at the end of the month. We're going to pick some lucky winners, and you'll only be eligible if you submit your email. I believe we have a little survey that you'll have to fill out before you actually get selected or could be selected. And of course, anyone who's here in person, I will just take your email down from you at the end of today. And again, please shout out questions at any point in time. Thank you for that, Yasmin. So let's dig a little deeper into networking. Understanding your why. I think that's really important. So again, I'm kind of gearing this towards creatives, folks who are in the space of creating it. And creative can be anything. I'm doing a podcast. I'm a videographer. I have a service that I offer. Anything in that creative space. You got to understand that your strategy is a little different. Networking with peer interaction results in growth. And I'll put all these up here. And then you also have networking for clients. I typically these days do a little bit more of the networking for clients because I kind of have the peers that I want to work with. I'm not really looking to extend my resources far beyond that. That's how you build really great relationships with the folks you have. At the beginning, it's trial and error. If I know I need a good graphic designer in my circle and I meet one dude and I start working with him and we do a couple projects, but then it gets a little shaky, I might want to start trying to see if I can find another graphic designer I can work with on a regular basis, because I wish I can get to the point where I have that 1 or 2 who are solid and I never need anybody else. But that's not realistic. You're going to have folks that are going to have issues. You're going to have people that maybe aren't up to the quality that you want. So I'm in a space, used to be in a space where I would network for peers, but right now I got all the video guys I have. I know all the, the tradesmen that I need for any project that could come about just for what I do in my career. So you want to do a little bit of both. You want to network for that peer interaction. So again, that results in growth. You'll find mentors. You'll have mentees, because again, you want to pass that knowledge on as you increase in your career. And then also there's networking for clients, which is sort of the more popular or the more common networking folks do. And I see a lot of people do it very, very wrong. I'm sure folks have seen people go to a networking event and they just start handing out cards, or they have little postcards that have information about their service and they're shouting it out. Yep. Yeah.
If you're an entrepreneur, you have how do you create a business card where it's like it was professional, not too busy?
Let me see if I have my wallet right now, because I feel like I did just that. And here's the thing too, is you have to understand that your card can't be a substitute for your information and what you do. And again, for folks that might not have heard her question, it was, if you're an entrepreneur and you do a ton of different things, how do you like make that organized and concise on like a business card? A business card shouldn't be here's everything about my brand and now you get to make a decision. That should be more of here's where you go to find deep dive into me. So a website is where I would have most of that information listed, where you can find out the different things that I do personally. And then you would be more the brand. So your brand card is what you give them. It has maybe your name on it or whatever you call your empire. And that's where someone gets to know who this is. They have your contact information, your socials, and then they go to like your website or landing page or whatever you put together, where folks can do deep dives into those different services. Another way of saying that, and I've done this plenty of times before because I wear a lot of hats, is I'll sometimes go in a scenario where I'm networking with someone and I'll figure out what that common point is. And that's what I talk about. I might not talk about the fact that I have a video production company. I might talk about the fact that I have a marketing agency and I can help you build a website. You don't need the video production card. And I'm at the point where I have way too many cards that have my name on it. So I can hand them different ones. And that might be the route to go. I have a friend right now who does both construction and painting, which they're in the same world, but they're different enough that he can have a painting card and talk to someone about a painting contract. And he can also talk to you about doing some work on your home that has nothing to do with painting. And he doesn't really confuse anyone. Right. No, I get that. But and that's where the networking comes into, because in the conversation with the person, that's when you got to figure out, what do they want? What do they need? Do they need painting or do they need construction? And let's say they need both. Which one do they need more? Or which one do they need first? Because your best source of future business is the proof of you doing great business already. So let the painting be your door in. You painted the heck out of this room. And in conversation, here are some of the other things I can do, and let that weave into some of your other services and offerings. That's a great question, though. Great question. It can be. It can be. A landing page is typically, some people call that, I don't want to call it a one page website, but it's usually where you're going to just drive traffic to because there's a specific call to action. I want you to buy this book, or I want you to sign up with your email for a chance to win a free XYZ. Landing pages typically don't have detailed information about a business or a brand, or you're not going to see about and services and all those other things. So a landing page is usually very specific. Sometimes you have a landing page that takes you, the next step is actually going to the website. It's something you want to pop up first and then go to your site. But you can do a website for a business as a one-page piece. It doesn't have to be super labor intensive. And again, that's always something I'm happy to chat with people about, is digging into some of those deeper things. Not only do I do it, but Ebony Dukes, our president, also builds websites and all that kind of stuff. We both use Wix. I don't do WordPress, which are like big next level websites, but I got a marketing firm that does. So I'll bring it to them as I need to. But yeah, great question. So another thing to go here on understanding why you're networking is the quality of your work can be subjective, which is very, very tough. That's one of the toughest things about working in this space. Because, and I'm going to speak specifically about content creators, videographers, photographers, podcasters. Some people view that as a luxury, having video content. Just like 25 years ago, it was a luxury to have a website. 10 years ago, it was a luxury to have social media. You didn't really need it. It's just there and it's fancy and looks nice. And now we're in that space where video and really great photos and visuals are kind of in that zone where people don't fully understand the value that it brings. And they're a little hesitant to jump into it because of the price point. I mean, producing a quality video for someone isn't cheap. You'll see certain industries know it. In the music industry, no one puts out their best song and doesn't make a music video to it. It goes along with it. And businesses are starting to do the same thing. And it's hard to match the vision of someone else. And you'll see this all the time when you're a creative and you have this directorial vision and the person who's paying for it or the person who's in the video does not have the same vision. Even though you might have talked about it and it appeared the same at the front end, when you see that final product and it doesn't jive, that can be difficult. And usually what can help you in those situations is your communication, is your networking skills. How did you go into that situation? You know, there's a lot of times where someone can be upset, but not really have that sort of blow up because of how you've, relate to them to that point. They feel a positive relationship with you. So there's no reason for them to blow up. They want to figure out how do we fix it versus give me my damn money back and I hate you and yada, yada, yada. You don't want that. People will use your service when they want. So when they want it, they need to remember you. And that's very much key. So we can tell you here at MyNEWPhilly over the years, let's say I've sold 40 commercials or explainer videos for a company. Out of those 40, I would say more than half of them bought 4 months after the initial conversation. So we talked about it to somewhat, it was acknowledged that they needed it. Nothing got done. Not because I didn't try to. I gave them the opportunity. Hey, we can do this, or we have a sale next week. Why don't we get it done now? This, that, and the other. Nothing. However, all of a sudden, here comes a phone a couple months later. Hey, I think I need X, Y, Z. And of course, now they want to rush. Can we do it next week? Can we do it this? And I'm like, okay, there's something going on in your world that I don't know about that made this urgent, but that's the nature of the beast. A person doesn't need headshots until they know they need headshots. Shout out to Vern though with his 40 for 40. He's always doing headshots, and somehow he has people that need headshots like every month, which is awesome. But that's another key thing, and that can make it tough on the networking for clients thing. You can't go into an opportunity thinking you're going to get business. You have to go in willing to give value, give expertise. That's also value. This is what I know, and this is my industry, and this is what we do. And let them make that decision. Yeah, I want to use you. That comes later in that networking process. And then networking is never about selling your products, it's about selling yourself. I can't state that hard enough. You basically want to make friends. That is the business of networking. How do I meet you and get you to like me? Plain and simple. If I can network with you and get you to like me at the end of the day, you're going to remember me. When it comes to you making a decision between me and someone else who maybe didn't build that rapport with you, you're going to want to go with me instead of them. So there's a big proponent of a big element of making sure people like you and that being a part of networking as well. So a couple tips here for networking for beginners. So for folks that are really just getting into it, I always tell them start with friends, families, and colleagues. That's the lowest hanging fruit. And really you can kind of just like check in on people and see how they're adjusting and see what's going on with them. It's really starting random conversations that aren't a part of your daily flow or what you had already planned to do. Get yourself out of the comfort zone. Have a chat with the lady who's checking out your groceries at the grocery store. Those sorts of little conversations get you more comfortable networking with people and having conversations. And a little later, we're going to go over some icebreakers and things you can say to start a conversation. But yeah, just any sort of convo on any level, again, even if they're with people you know, but you might not often sit down and have a chat with, that's a great place to kind of start networking and just getting comfortable with those sorts of conversations. And again, the conversation that you're getting comfortable with is in the back of your mind is, how can I help? What's going on in your life? Where can I be of assistance to you? You want to allocate time to do your online networking as well. And we're about to dive into that a little bit in addition. And then also ask for introductions. That's key, especially if you already have a business and you know what you want to do. Ask for introductions to people who are your friends, your family, your colleagues, people you know. ask for introductions to the types of people that you want to meet. That's a great way to network. Referrals is probably the biggest driver of most creatives businesses. So they're coming from trusted people. Again, kind of like how you buy from who you like, you also buy from who you trust. And if you've never explored getting headshots before, how do you know what photographer to trust? You're going to trust the person who's referred someone to you. So be proactive and ask people for introductions in your space. So here are some keys to being a great networker. First thing is building rapport, which I hate that word because I used to always leave the T off of it. And now I'm like, yeah, that's not how you spell it. But this is correct. Build rapport. That is a major element of networking is building that relationship, having that established vibe with someone that allows you to then have deeper conversations and bigger conversations about money. You know, you don't usually have that conversation with any old body. So building rapport and building rapport can be done virtually, it can be done in person, but that is a major key to being a great networker. And you heard me say this before, again, this is just kind of a recap, is listen, then give value. So let me hear what's going on in your world. Let me hear what's going on in your profession. What are those things you're dealing with? And let me provide value to what you have going on. Use body language. And I throw this one in there because I read body language really well. I used to do this a ton at networking events, using body language to get into a conversation or out of a conversation. Just the way you stand facing someone. Again, we're talking in-person networking. Just the way that you stand with someone. If you're talking to them right in front of you, but you guys are like right like this versus kind of like angled, which would invite someone else into the conversation. That plays a lot into how you can just meet more people in less amount of time. I love having conversations with multiple people versus one or two. Another thing is even on body language when it comes to virtual. You see how I'm talking with my hands now. Someone watching this, they're feeling that. It's not as stale as me just kind of reading off a script or just talking. Body language is very, very key when you're networking. Yep.
Women talking with your hands, it borderline gender. It's like it's hard for us to like kind of separate those things. It's hard for us to separate those things.
Right.
So it's like it's a thin line between too much, just enough.
That's the key.
And being comfortable with it.
And
I'm on the bridge. I'm trying to actually stop using it.
I love that you said that. So again, for anyone that didn't hear, we're talking about some of the ladies we have here talking about using your hands while you're talking and it being too much. I think one of the interesting things that you have to do when you really get into networking, because again, for most people, the first time you ever network, you're probably at earliest 18, 19, 20. For most people, not a lot of people are. 13, 12, oh, so you was a hustler. You was out here doing it.
When you start switching places, you gotta learn how to network.
True.
In the same, you gotta learn how to.
But even that networking in that space is networking amongst your peers. It's networking amongst friends. It's basically.
It's a new environment.
It is a new environment. So take the environment out of it. Talk about the stature of the people and what you want from them. You're not networking with your fellow classmates to get a job or to have them hire you or anything else. What's your end goal? Your end goal is the best scenario for you. And just like it is, maybe if you're talking with family, it's easy to talk with your hands and get demonstrative because it's family there. It's different than if it's someone you've never met before. That's when you have to turn it off and do it a little bit different, because the comfortability of networking with your hands or getting passionate quickly, like I think we're all a victim of it. I do it probably more than I should, but that is sort of a built-in trait. You're used to doing that. Once you get to a certain point where you're more in circles of people you never met before, that you need to have a professional relationship with, that you need them to like you, again, that's the end of the goal, Now my hands have to be a little different than they were before. Even if I have the same feeling inside, my mannerisms and how I'm doing it, it's softer, or it's more I don't like the word professional, but doing it in a way where these movements that you see are often seen in this space. It's a little different way of playing it. And again, it's one of those things that's like a trial and error situation. But I noticed that when I'm talking with my friends, my slang, my words, like even kind of how I move my hands is a little different than I'm in a corporate room. And this gets us into a whole nother conversation of peer group and who you're comfortable with. I've been in plenty of networking rooms where it's just people that look like me. What's up, bro? And I've been pretty in networking rooms where I'm the only one that looks like me. And that causes a different tone in my voice and a different hesitation with decisions I'm going to make and things like that. So there's so many different things at play when you're networking, especially with the mindset of doing it professionally, that it's hard, it's overwhelming to even think about it all at the same time. But you get comfortable in certain spaces and you learn, how do I win? How do I get in this room of 20 people, whether they look like me or not, and leave with these people wanting to have a follow-up conversation with me? That's a whole different mindset of what you're trying to do versus other scenarios where you feel a little more comfortable in just expressing yourself. I'm not saying you don't express yourself when you're networking. I'm just saying I express myself strategically.
I think networking is very, I mean, it still has the same foundation for that, but it is difficult for women when networking. Because you try to network as professional as possible, and you still get those curves. So you can be trying to be serious and facing, without sometimes, like you said, by name, you want to let another person in a conversation, or you don't. But it's still like laws of attraction sometimes take networking so
right.
left.
Right. And we're talking right now about the laws of attraction and the difficulty it is for women to network versus men. And that's a real thing. I've seen it firsthand. And there's other things that come along to make it easier for you to do it, which I encourage you to be a part of. I don't know a ton of men's networking groups. I know a ton of women's networking groups that are women exclusive, just like there's women exclusive gyms, because you're going to feel more comfortable in that space because there are a-holes out here at a regular basis, and you can't tell one from the other when you just see them up front. You don't know them until they show themselves. So take advantage of those opportunities where there's women only networking group. The Walnut Club is one. That's a fantastic one. I'm trying to think of there's probably like 4 or 5 that are just local here in the Philly area. Say it again. Yeah, the Walnut Club is one that I've done some volunteering for. And I will remind me at the end, I'll send you a couple others that we can talk on. But those exist because of the fact of the problem you just stated. All groups, females, Black folk, indigenous people, like all these different groups have been marginalized and put down in some form or fashion to the point where these other services and organizations pop up to provide them at least somewhat of an even platform to get ahead. So whereas those dudes might be at the spot and not paying attention to a word you're saying, and they're looking to do business with another dude or just trying to do something else with you, if you go to those other groups, you're going to actually have women that are going above and beyond to push your business forward. Like as soon as you walk in there, everyone's like, how can we help you? It's that mentality. How do you help someone in building a brand? They want to build a organization and a community that's strong and firm. So you want to be a part of that. Not to say you can't get it in just general spots, but you're going to have to bob and weave. You're going to have to figure out, the wolf in sheep's clothing is going to be there. So you got to figure out, where it's at. But great point. And that makes networking for women, period, more difficult. Yep. I'm sorry, say that one more time.
I was saying, like, how do you feel about, like, if I use the body language or eye contact? And I feel like nowadays, since it's such a rise in technology, eye contact is becoming like this thing, but you want to feel like, that, I guess you could say rapport.
Yep.
But it's like, I always wonder, like, what's the fine line between awkward, like, too much, like, I like to look at people, like, not frequently, but it's like, I like to have eye contact, but it's to the point where I do, like, when I look at people, they look like they're, I look at them.
Right.
Yeah, because it's
I usually, what I'll try to do is I have go-tos for things. So when I feel nervous or I feel awkward, I ask a question. I find a common ground of discussion, and I kind of get the conversation to the point where it's free flowing and I don't have to like think. Like it's not always easy to find those things, but sometimes if you have a standard question, I don't want to get too far ahead, we're going to hit some questions in a minute. But like there's certain things I'll say to steer a conversation so that it's not about me and it's just, we have this common ground we're talking about. And when you're having a conversation with someone, I prefer eye contact, but that's why I also said I prefer talking in groups of people, because now I can bounce around and be looking at 3 or 4 people at once. I don't feel as bad that way. So now it's like, all right, I'm connecting and giving everybody time. Again, even that could be somewhat difficult, but like it feels more comfortable to me to do that than to have a one-on-one with somebody, especially if we're in a space with a lot of people. I want to spread the love. Another thing on here, just to get through these right quick, is be a subject matter expert. I thoroughly encourage that for anyone who's networking, is have something you can talk about extensively. Does not matter what it is at all. If I go to a networking event and I go to a networking event, I'll talk about the Eagles, and we can have an in-depth talk about the Eagles, because I already know playing the odds, 65, 70% of the people I'm gonna run into, they're fans. They probably know a little bit about the team. They saw the game last week. We can have that conversation. So that's one of my go-tos, to be like, all right, well, here's something I know we can bond over. And it's just my luck that person's like, oh, I'm a Dallas fan, and now we got beef. So like that happens too. But I love being a subject matter expert. Me personally, I feel like you want to have business topics you're a subject matter expert on, and just some generic stuff. So again, I love talking about sports. I love talking about barbecue. I love talking about my bike. Those are my non-professional things I like to chat about. When it comes more to the other stuff, I love talking about marketing strategy. I love talking about social media management. I love talking about content creation. So like I can go in depth and give someone knowledge just in a networking setting. I could drop 4 jewels on them that's going to make them better at social media. And now they want to talk to me again, or they want to figure out, what do I do so they can help me? That's tomorrow. Tomorrow's Canva class. Y'all got to come for that. One other key I'll throw in here is the follow-up. All right, the follow-up, let me just check right quick. The follow-up is key. Networking with no follow-up is a waste of time. If you're not going to then take whatever connections you got and build upon it, you're literally just throwing time out the door, which is not good. Follow-ups, I think sometimes also have a lot of issues when people are thinking about it from the stance of, I reached out and they didn't respond. Again, I come from a space of having been around so long, having dropped balls myself, I fully give people the shadow of the doubt right off the bat. Somebody died in your family, or this is the busiest work week of your week and you just didn't get back to me. That's cool. I know in my brain, after 2 days, I might follow up again. And then maybe after a week, I might follow up again. And I might not just follow with an email. I'll try something different. I'll make a phone call. There's been very few times I've gotten to the point where I straight up just DM somebody. I was like, bro, I called you twice. I see you posting on live. What's up? Like I've gotten to that point before. But usually it's just putting that energy and effort in to reach out. And that usually works well for me. Yep.
What do you think is a good time to follow up, like not to look too fresh, but still look like you want to,
Yeah, fantastic. So my first go-to is, let's say I meet some folks at a networking event. I'm probably shooting them an email within 24 hours. So that's my first. Great to meet you. So glad we connected. I might even mention something that was in relation to our conversation. And then I'm just trying to set up what that next step is. Is that next step a one-on-one Zoom? Is it, I need a tutorial of your service, or maybe I have a specific business question, or we just need to go have coffee and just see what those opportunities are, because we're like-minded individuals. Like, I don't know if you're just going to be someone who's a friend on my Facebook page over the next however many years of our life, or if you're my next business partner. I have no clue at this point, but I'm going to do what I can to kind of push that conversation forward. So within a day, it's great meeting you. Here's what I would love to do next. And if they don't respond within 3 days, I might say, hey, just wanted to make sure you saw this email. Let me know if you have some time. Chances are, if I put out some dates, those dates might have passed already. So at that point, I usually drop it for like a week. If I haven't heard back a week after that, I'm usually going to give one more reach out. And then I might just chalk it up if I still don't hear nothing back from them. And you'll be surprised, all the times that's happened, I get an email 2 months later. I don't know how this went in my junk box. I don't know how I didn't see this. Oh my gosh, I feel so bad. Can I take you out to coffee? Can we grab lunch? Like, that happens quite often. So I think that's sort of a good cadence to do on a follow-up tip. Again, just another reminder for anyone who's watching virtually, make sure you're checking it out. Dorian, do me a favor, make sure you check on the Facebook page and they can still hear me fine, because, oh, you weren't? Okay, let me check it out, just make sure right quick, because that'd be terrible if they can't hear us. Let's see. I'll make that easier. I hear myself. All right, we good. I'm on the MyNEWPhilly Facebook page. So, yep. So I encourage y'all to like the post and share it on your page so other folks can get this good knowledge. And y'all asking great questions. I really do appreciate it. I might actually blaze through some of these slides. There's like another like 14 slides. So I want to have more time to chat with you guys than not. And of course, for the folks watching on Facebook, I'm gonna do a quick check right now to see if, oops, let me turn the volume down. I'm gonna do a quick check right now to see if any of you guys have any questions. I don't see any virtual questions yet. So again, we got some good stuff coming from the live crew. So we'll just keep rocking with that. But I will keep an eye out for anything else coming through. So again, make sure you put your email down. And I'm sorry, my brother who just came in, what was your name? Kevin? Let me just make sure I write it. Yep.
Okay, now I'm new to, I'm going to say I'm new to networking, and I'm trying to get back out there. But there's people that I know that they're not there. So I want to engage with them without pressure of new experience. What I mean by that, for instance, I wanna network with them, but I don't want to pressure them to promote my network. I just want to practice, but I feel like my practice sometimes pushes them to want to push me to
right.
You know what I'm saying? And it's like, no, I just want to practice talking. I just want to, I just want to figure out new things to say.
Okay, so there's practicing your skill set, and then there's getting better. So I would definitely talk to them about getting better and let it be open. Listen, I wanted to chat with you because I'm trying to become a networker like you. I want to get my skill set up. Can we talk? And I just want to like pick your brain, this, that, and the other. And then for you to actually try your networking out, don't go to them. Go to like people you never met before and actually go and try it. Because what will happen is when you're trying stuff out on people who are seasoned and kind of already know it, you're kind of wasting their time a little bit, especially if you're in a scenario where like it could be awkward of them giving you feedback, but you're just kind of doing your own thing, practicing what you have already kind of established. So it's kind of like they're telling you what you're doing is wrong. Like, you don't need that. Like, what you need is what insight can they give you to become a better networker, or skills and tricks that they've had. Like, I think that's a conversation in itself that you don't really network in that space. You already know them. So I would practice your networking skills on people you don't know, and then actually build with the people you do know. And in that respect, the best way to learn from them is watching. So say, hey, can I go to a networking event with you? You're not going to be up under their wing the whole time, but you're doing it so that you can kind of learn what they got going on and kind of hear how they work the room. I tell all my mentees, the best way I could ever teach them how to network is come to a networking event with me. And you'll see how I work the room and how I talk to people and the relationships. You'll be able to tell who I already have rapport on. I don't bother talking to them in extensive. We say what's up, and we already know we have a relationship, and I focus on the people I never met before because I want to build from coming to this event. Some events you actually want to go just to build rapport with the people you already know, and you can tell when that's my intent as well. I'll go grab a couple drinks, give one to my guy who I haven't seen in a while, but I want to build my rapport with him. So I think you would use two different scenarios there. Practice with new people and get better, with the folks in your circle that are already, at a nice level. And then also like draft off them. Like, if you come to a good event, ask them if they want to go with you. Stuff like that could be a good way to get that going. So we're going to jump into some stuff about networking virtually, and then we're going to finish up with some in-person stuff. And we'll go through these a little quicker. So first thing here, update, audit your online profiles, especially LinkedIn and Instagram, your website too, if you have one. So I think a pet peeve of mine is seeing people who have a professional LinkedIn account or a LinkedIn account associated with their business card or what they do, but the content on there is far from professional. It irks the hell out of me, but I let people rock. You want to make sure that your professional account, whatever is being out there, is beyond reproach, because people will look you up. Anyone who's going to use your services is going to search you out before they use your services. That is a commonplace. If you want to check out any service that you want, if you need to have a carpenter come to your house or whatever, you're going to try to get referrals. You're going to try to see what they've done. So people will do that to you as well. You want to polish up your accounts. LinkedIn is very much key. If you are a business professional and you don't have a LinkedIn account, you need to create one. It is a vital tool to not only potential business opportunities, but that mentor-mentee element. You can do great things with LinkedIn on that as well. And I can even show you my LinkedIn account a little later to give you that harp on some things that you want to make sure you're doing well with it. Another thing here is join groups, Facebook, Meetup, that resonate with your goals of attracting mentors, job opportunities, industry connections, whatever your goal is. You want to find those groups that you can be a part of that will allow you to attract those individuals. So if you are a budding videographer, go for a meetup that's like a shoot out in the park, a video shoot out in the park. Yeah, I was about to say, well, no shootouts in the park. Shoot cameras, not guns. Shoot cameras, not guns. That's what we're here about. Shout out to Vern. But he does these. He'll do a walk where he'll call, hey, photographers, shooters, come with me, meet me out at this park, and we're going to go capture some dope shots. He could organize that on Meetup, find it on Meetup, and you just go up and meet all these new creatives that you're connecting with. That's a great thing to do on that front. On the clientele front, knowing who your ideal clientele is and putting yourself in that sort of a space or that sort of a meetup group. I'm in that space where I kind of offer a lot of services to everybody. So I kind of just go for whatever meetings just seem like it has good people with good vibes in it. But whatever your target is, whoever you're trying to influence, you definitely want to find, groups that cater to those people. And then another one is join chambers, networking organizations, and clubs. You'll see how I put organic on the other one, as you're going to put in the work to get those relationships. I put this one facilitated because typically a chamber costs money. You're going to join the African American Chamber of Commerce. They're going to put on events. They're going to put you in a room. They're going to throw a name badge on you and introduce you to people. You're still going to have to put in that work of building relationships, but it's a little bit more facilitated than, you just going out and hunting and going into a group. So there's network organizations like the Walnut Club that I mentioned earlier. I know some of these other female organizations will pop in my mind. If you guys know any who are watching on Facebook, please feel free to drop them in the chat. But those sorts of things usually have a cost associated, but you have a stronger network off the bat. Like, because you're a member, rapport is already established. So now it's just figuring out who does what, how can we work together? So you can go both ways. I suggest a combination of both, but those are some of the ways to kind of get going on the virtual side. Talk about virtual events. So I've done a whole lot of these over the past year to the point where I hate Zoom. I'm sure folks, whether you were in school or just connecting with new people, Zoom and similar platforms was pretty commonplace. Couple things you want to know about going into a virtual event. One, you want to set aside time for the event. And by buffers. So what I say is, like, 5 minutes before the event starts, get in your chair, get your water, get your notepad, whatever you want to do, get prepared to actually go into an event. Don't treat it as if, you can be late to it, or, that it doesn't matter. You're still figuring out your camera 5 minutes into the event. Have time ahead and be set up. And I always tell people, have a buffer on the end, because you don't know what's going to come out of that meeting. You might start a one-on-one in a networking group, or someone might mention what they do and that resonates with something you want or you need, and you want to have a little bit of a deeper conversation. Leave yourself time to do that at the end. Of course, you can schedule it for later, but leave yourself time in case, the event runs long and you're really vibing. Appearance matters. Very key. You gotta look the part, even if you're virtual. Whatever the camera don't see, I don't care. I wear shorts all the time when I'm on Zoom, but I'm going to be professional, button up top. So you do what you want to do, but make sure whatever you're wearing is something you would wear out the house in terms of what they're going to see on camera. I've seen people come to Zoom sloppy. It's not a good look. So that's another key, is your appearance. Have your contact information and virtual business card ready to send. So a couple things I mean by that. When I say have it ready, have your contact information ready, clearly you know your number and this, that, and the other. But what is the best way for people to connect? I'll give you guys an example. Let's see here. Let's go in. And actually, I'm not sharing this for the people. Hold on, So this is my LinkedIn account. If you go to view profile, so this is my LinkedIn profile. You see I threw a bunch of the brands I represent at the top. I have details about what I am, this, that, and the other. But the key part is if I go up here into the banner, actually I can't even see it. Put it in the chat. I just copied the address. You'll see it popped up there, linkedin.com/n/ZJamesRHC. So that is the link for my LinkedIn account. Everyone can personalize this for themselves. LinkedIn will give you one that'll say your name and then like a bunch of numbers. You can customize it and make it a short code. Almost, doesn't take the place of a website, but this now is like a link that I can send someone where they'll have all my contact information. They'll be able to see the work that I've done. They'll be able to see the business related stuff that I post about. And you can just go to LinkedIn, copy that and put it in a paste of a Zoom chat. So now everyone in there, all they gotta do is click on that button and they're connected with you on LinkedIn. There's no extra work. I always tell people, make it easy for other people. You can type in your phone number and email, but someone's just gonna have to type that into something else. They're gonna have to copy and paste it. This way, I love just connecting on LinkedIn. If you're in this networking group, you're probably on LinkedIn too. So it's an easy way to connect with folks. So again, having that ready. Another thing was really popular, which I bought one prior to the pandemic and lost it. But I actually bought like a virtual business card. They have those cards you can just like tap onto somebody's phone, and then like in comes your information, your social, all your stuff. You got have a program. Yeah. No, you can have a program to put in whatever you want to someone's phone just by tapping it. So I lost mine. I gotta try to clean my house and find it, but that's a good idea. That's a virtual business card.
This is I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
I am in the making moving from not moving from my Instagram page, but I'm starting a lemonade business. So I feel like people like to see numbers and trust you. So I'm quick to say, follow me and give on my personal page. And on my personal page, I then send them to my business page to get them like around about like this is not a fake page. Follow it. This is my business page. Mm-hmm. And I get them to follow my business page through my page.
Why do you take that extra step?
I feel like because if I just tell them to follow my business page, it's like they know it's just lemonade. They're gonna follow me.
I think it depends on how that relationship is built. And if it comes through the lens of you connecting with someone first, yeah, I think it makes sense to, connect them in that sort of respect. So
I just went to a network and I met a lady, she made cakes. Mm-hmm. And I made lemonade, but I wanted to network with her and she was genuine. Like, I wanted to keep it. I'm not on my business page as much as my personal page. Mm-hmm. So we built a rapport just like last week, Sunday at the networking event. And now we signed up for another event and I'm looking forward to seeing her at the next event. Right. That's actually an 8-week course.
Right.
So it started off with me just giving her my personal page and then now she followed my personal page, my business page, and we're going to a business event, another business networking event. Mm-hmm. And I hope to be able to continue the relationship. So now, like if she's been to somewhere, maybe she'll say, well, hey, I'm been to here, you want to see if you can vent? Mm-hmm. Or I'm going here, you want to see about that?
Now, do you think that she would not have offered to share with you a vending opportunity if she just was connected to your business page and not your personal page?
No, I think that I would not communicate with her as much as I do with my personal page.
And realistically, that's because you have 2 pages. If you only had 1 page, all your communication would go through one. But I understand how, first off, even for most people, you have a personal page and then you do a business. So like you kind of have to create something separate. And I don't discourage anyone going away from that. The only disadvantage you have is if it ever gets to the point where there's someone you can do business with on the Lemonade side that comes through the personal side lens, and you have something on the personal side lens that is not conducive to business and make someone.
That's where I'm falling a little bit. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm hesitant on the things that I want to post.
Right.
On my page. Like even if it's something simple like I farted, LOL. Now I'm like, who wants to buy a lemonade? Somebody who farts and mad. Like, you know what I'm saying?
I think there's a couple things you would want to do. And for folks that don't hear her, she's talking about farting and selling lemonade. So you know. But no, you first off, a personal page. If you have anything that could be business questionable on there, make it a private page. And you let on who you feel comes through that barrier of they're going to be comfortable with whatever. Because you might not know that right away when you meet her.
At the time, I'm comfortable, but what about that one Saturday night? I didn't know I was
that's the tough balance of what can be public and what can or what should and shouldn't be. Even let's say we're talking specifically Instagram now, they have the stories where you can just share it to close friends versus everybody. So you got to take advantage of those tools and pick and choose where you want to share what you want to share, because, you know, granted how that might not mess that relationship up. Let's say we start talking and I hook you up with Jeff Brown from Brown ShopRite and I give him your personal page. He's not going to call you back. He deals with too many entrepreneurs that from time to time have something questionable that because there's so many to work with, I might as well just scrap all those right out the gate. I'd rather go with the people that give me no question yet. That doesn't mean they still ain't going to drop the ball too, but I'm going to just get rid of the low hanging fruit because I don't want to make mistakes. So you have to then be like, all right, how do I want to monitor this, control this? It didn't matter before when I wasn't an entrepreneur and didn't have a public facing speak, but now it does. And also you can keep the two very separate. You know, that someone doesn't need to know about the lemonade business unless you want them to. Someone doesn't need to know about your personal page unless you want them to. So it's figuring out what are those other methods of communication. Because for her, you said you guys communicated a lot through your personal account, but if it wasn't for that personal account, you can't say you would not be communicating with this girl. You would just be communicating in a different way. So what is that next easiest way that doesn't infringe your personal stuff and allows you to still live and show whatever you want to show, yet still have the professional vibe over here? Because trust me, I know tons of people who are the utmost professional and are running major businesses, and I know what they do outside of that. And I'm like, wow, you just don't show it publicly, and that's good. That's fine. Everybody got stuff in their closets, but or stuff that, you know, might not be you know, looked at as professional to everybody. But, you know, you kind of walk that thin line and make that judgment decision in real time. Next thing I had on here was listen. As you see, it's all caps. That's part of that giving value. I can't give value if I haven't listened to what value is needed. So that's a big one right there. A couple more tips here. For networking, have a concise message, an elevator pitch. And I'm going to dive into this on like maybe 2 slides from now. I already know you're ready. I'm going to dive into it in a minute. I'm just going to throw that out there. We're going to come back to elevator pitch. Make eye contact and use body language. We talked about that a little earlier. I think that's very important in that establishing rapport space. I want you to connect with me, and it's hard to connect if I'm not looking at you. And, you know, whether body language is shaking a hand or, you know, just nodding a head agreement with something that someone said, all that stuff plays a factor. For virtually networking, get familiar with your mute and camera buttons. I've seen a lot of people not be too familiar with those buttons, and it's causing them to show and say things publicly that they do not want to show or say. So I'll leave that one at that. And another one, create a virtual backdrop that helps tell your story, includes images of work you've done, and behind the scenes, this, that, and the other. And I'll give you an example of one that I use. So let me make this full screen. Folks can see me here. So let's go to my virtual backdrop, which I'm pretty sure I haven't used this in a while, so don't judge me. Yep, I haven't used it since May, because you see I have a little thing up there that says I had an upcoming Thursday Thoughts with Sheldon Rumor on May 20th. But basically, this sums up what I do. I help entrepreneurs, small businesses, and nonprofits grow through marketing strategies, content creation, social media management, sales efforts, and more. You want to connect with me? My LinkedIn's right there. Who do I do it with? Navitas Marketing and MyNEWPhilly. And there's a bunch of clients that I've worked with on the right-hand side. Now, I personally network so much that I don't really show all this, but there's been times where I've gotten in a space where like I don't have the time to talk to everyone, and I put it up there so they can read it when it comes about. I want to redo it because some of the words are still a little too small. I think I changed it so it would be easier to read, and it's still not super easy to read, but there's some powerful brands on here, and I wanted someone to actually feel that. Like, don't think I'm in this room for nothing. I've done some things. So creating a virtual background like this does not have to have this much content. Could just have your logo in the back and nothing else. Say it again. Yeah, it's a hockey podcast. So Knuckles like fighting, like hockey fighting. Shout out to James Hyde and Riley Cote, Dave Settlemeyer with the nasty numbers. I do all that. That's a great question. Hold on 1 second. Let me get rid of this background because it's getting on my nerves.
I want to like really just start branding because I don't really I feel like I'm making confidence, but I don't.
So everything you said was extremely confusing, and here's why. You can't have a logo till you have a brand. So the brand comes first. What are we? That allows you to create the logo. A lot of people go, I need a logo, and they develop a logo that's related to lemonade or related to whatever their product or service is, but it doesn't tell a story. It doesn't really kind of carry the test of time a little bit. So now you kind of have to rework the brand, which now once you rework the brand, now the logo might be best to be adjusted or change a little bit. So what I tell people first, and this is just the process that I go with, is I always have free consultations with folks. Let's sit and talk. Let me hear what the heck you got to say and what you feel about your business and where it's going and what the future holds. Is this an empire you're handing down to your kids? Is this, I'm trying to get rich over the next 10 years and I'm out? Like, because all that factors into the voice and the branding of it. And that plays a role in what it should look like. So it's a deeper question than what it costs. But that process, again, you get that started at no cost. And then I tell you, all right, here's the steps you should take. Here are the steps you should take. And if you need my help to do those steps, here's what I charge for these steps. But I also don't tell people that you can't go to another person to go do X, Y, Z. Like, you know.
I noticed you just told me to up to everything you said. I say in a conversational way, and she said, "Oh, that was smooth." My phone.
That was a very conversational way of saying, I'm not telling you how much nothing costs. Yeah, I'm glad you picked up on that. So back on here. So creating that virtual backdrop, I showed you what that looked like. Now networking virtually. Here are some don't do's. You do this stuff, I'm mad at you. You wouldn't eat during a meeting, so don't do it virtually. I got a bag of cherries over there I want to bust down right now. There's some grub. I think there might be. I'm gonna ask the folks about it, but like, can't do that when you're on a Zoom. Don't eat. I've seen it. It's terrible. Unless food is a part of the event. I've been to lunch meetings. I've been to wine tastings virtually, which are awesome. Whatever it is, if it's part of the program, cool. If it's not, and it just so happens to be noon and that's when the meeting is, you can't just be busting out your lunch. You should have did that earlier afterwards. I've seen it. Don't eat on a Zoom. We got keep cell phone use to before or after your virtual meeting. So this is one of the ones where I really can't get too upset because I do it from time to time. And it is being on your phone. Y'all can see me. I'm trying to teach this class right now, but I'm focused in my phone and it looks like I'm not paying attention. That is the worst when you're on a virtual meeting or event. What I started to do really good at is I actually bring my phone so it's like right up under here under the camera and it looks like I'm looking, but I'm sitting here typing. That's a pro move right there. But don't do it anyway. Don't do it. Don't Zoom from your bed or any other place that you wouldn't have company. Don't do it. I've seen it. Don't do it. What are you about to say?
I know what you're about to go. This is getting on topic, but because waited for 2 slides to go past to say something.
I'm gonna find, once we finish this and actually like stop the live, I'm gonna hang around and chat and answer some questions and stuff like that. Another reminder for folks that are watching on Facebook, put your email in the comments for a chance to win some of these goodies. And of course, the folks here will also have a chance to win some of the starter kit stuff for our content creator tools. So let's go a little bit into one-on-one networking. So this is in-person networking, one-on-one. And I equate it to dating, 100%. It is basically the same thing. And here are some comparisons. It can be tough or difficult to start the conversation. You ever been on a first date? Again, we got some suave people out here. They don't have no issues, but I sometimes was nervous. I don't really know what to say. I don't know what they're going to say. Again, it can be tough. And again, same as networking. You don't know what level of relationship will be developed when you come to networking. Just like when you meet a young lady or guy and you don't know if this is going to eventually be a boyfriend, something more, one night stand, you have no clue what the evolution of that relationship is going into it, but you still have to go into it with the proper mindset. Same thing like networking. I don't know if this person's gonna be a waste of my time or they're my future business partner. You have no clue. Your primary goal is to get the other person to like you. You know, I mentioned this earlier. Again, just like a relationship. I want you to like me. I want to go on a second date. So I'm going to do what I can in this date to make myself be the best myself possible and to have you like me as a person. Same thing with networking. Your goal is to get people to like you because people buy from who they like. That's their main decision. I'm going to buy from who I like. The best realtors you've ever seen are the most likable, friendly people. That's why they're continuing to sell the most amount of houses, because not only do a lot of people like them, but they've been doing it so long that they have tons of referrals. And then when you get referred to them and you like them too, you're like, oh, I can't go to someone else. You'd be surprised. You know how many people got a cousin who's a realtor, but they ain't buy a house with them? You buy from the people you like. Again, identify common interests. Big thing with dating. What do we like? What movies do you like? What you know, where do you like to spend your free time? All those are common dating questions, same kind of things you would do in networking. Again, this is part of the issue that you harped on earlier about being difficult for women in the networking space, is because a lot of people do have that similar equation with dating. It has a very similar feel and vibe to it. You want to share what you're passionate about, getting the other person to get to know you and get to know what are those things that you're really interested in. I think that's great in the networking sense because, again, that's rapport building. If I'm talking to you about networking and we start talking about barbecue or riding bikes and I find out you're in a bike ride, well, right then I already know off the bat, our next networking event could be us riding bikes somewhere on a trail, you know, or our first date could be riding bikes on a trail. So sharing those passions, big key in networking. Understand you'll need to nurture the relationship for it to grow, which is super key. And we're not going to go down a relationship tip. So we can talk about that for an hour, but if you do not nurture a relationship, it will not grow. Same thing with networking. If you are not putting the time and energy in to connect with a person, eventually that relationship is going to be pointless. So I said I was going to come back to this, and this is crafting your elevator pitch. Elevator pitches are really, really key when it comes to networking because, especially if you're in a group, you want to be able to say what it is you do promptly, quickly, not confusing. And you'll typically have people say it's a 60-second elevator pitch or a 30-second elevator pitch. These are the different steps that I tell people they need to have in there. What's the problem you're solving? Again, if you have a business that's not solving any problem whatsoever, it's going to be tough to grow. What's your solution to fixing it or your service? What is your service for? And then how do you execute who is on your team? Those are the different things you want to make sure you have in your elevator pitch. Some can vary a little bit. You can add other stuff into it, but that's kind of the core. If you have an elevator pitch that doesn't really answer those questions, it's going to be tough to really get your point across. And I'll give you an example of one that I did. In today's world, this is an elevator pitch that I would have from MyNEWPhilly. So being in the video production space. In today's world, video content plays a pivotal role in small businesses being able to advertise their services, but there's a lack of both affordable and high quality content producers out there. Luckily, MyNEWPhilly is here to help with a team of over 20 creatives who can conceptualize, produce, shoot, and edit video content faster and more cost effectively than any other guy. I don't know why I had guys there, but whatever. So subconscious. So let's say that took me 30 seconds to say, especially if I put a little energy into it, I'm acting it out a little bit. I just told you what the problem, what's the problem that we're solving? The problem we're solving is the lack of affordable and high quality content producers out there. What's the solution to fixing it? My solution to fixing it is MyNEWPhilly. What is your service for? Well, it's for small business owners to advertise their services. How do you execute? I got a team of over 20 creatives. So I'm hitting all those buttons. I'm telling you who's going to do it, who we're trying to help, what is the problem that we're helping, and what is that service we're providing. So coming up with your elevator pitch should be in that sort of a construct. And again, very loosely, there's other elements that can come in and out of here, but you have to be telling people like, what is that problem? What am I solving? What am I doing? Who am I doing it with? Or how am I getting it done? And even after this, if we want to try to come up with some elevator pitches amongst us, we can work on that too. So here's some go-to questions. We're gonna work it out. Hey, ain't nothing wrong with that. I like that because it should feel like a commercial in your brain, like a commercial, and most commercials got jingles. So a couple go-to questions. And I love asking this to people when I'm at networking events. Again, these could be kind of like icebreakers. These can just be to build rapport and dig a little deeper into, you know, who they are and whatnot. So one go-to question is, what's your favorite part about your job? I love asking people that. Someone in here answer me that question. What is your favorite part about your job? Anybody?
Getting paid.
Getting paid, getting that money. I got it. What you got? Huh? The final product, just being able to like soak that in and seeing that. I got you.
The social part of it, the work outward, like the natural part of it.
Yeah,
the work outward.
I get it. I get it. That used to be me and when I used to work in pro sports. My favorite part was talking about basketball. That's why I chose to work in pro sports. I like to talk about basketball, and now I can get paid to do it. So asking people, like people always have an answer to that. Unless they just really hate their job, and now they're going to tell you they're looking for a new job, and maybe that's how you can help them. What are some of your business goals over the next year? This is a deeper question, makes people think a little bit. I love asking this question personally because a lot of the services I offer help people get to that next year and to be successful. So if I ask you that question and you either don't know or your answers are a little shaky, I'm in a space where I can be like, okay, I see how I might be able to assist. This is another one that's pretty much catered to my service. What do you currently do to grow your business? If people don't know what they're doing to grow their business, that means they don't have a plan or a strategy in place. And there's 1,000 different things that they could utilize to do that. Sometimes their business growth is a funnel, a sales funnel for their website. Having a website that doesn't bring people in and get them to buy something, you're losing out on some of that website real estate. You want to try to see, how do I get them to actually activate? And people always think, you know, well, I don't have something to offer, I just do the service. Well, no, you do. And you can have something that, yep, ask a question.
When you say website, you mean a virtual home for your product?
Yes.
Oh.
Yep. And I guess real estate, from like the space that you're taking up, you've physically built a website. So you have it, you own that real estate, that digital real estate. But what is it saying?
Wow.
What is it doing for you? Yep.
And you don't have
Right. and it works the same way as property. Like,
to use it as equity?
Yes.
Wow.
But not, and here's the thing, the equity when it comes to that isn't necessarily in what the website becomes. It's just the domain. People will buy a domain. The person who, right, that person who in 1993 decided to buy alleniverson.com, they just holding that, and then they're going to sell it at a higher dollar amount later. So they're getting that equity. I don't know if he owns that website or did or not, but like there are tons of people who literally throughout the 90s, this is when it was hot, bought all the website names that made sense, and then they sell it back to you when you need it. Brooklyn Nets didn't own Brooklyn Nets when we first went to Brooklyn. We had to spend money to buy Brooklyn Nets from them.
The real estate, the realtors that are going out there buying neighborhoods that's coming up, they're buying a lot, because that's the cheapest thing in the neighborhood, but if you buy a lot between two condos, eventually a condo may want to buy.
Hey, one of my good buddies who's an investor, which I have my own reasons or jealousy as to why he's able to do what he's able to do, but he has 6 properties in Strawberry Mansion. And he don't look like us, and he lives in another state. Why you got that?
That's how weird.
Yeah.
What those properties are going to be worth to him in 5 years, 10 years? That's why he's buying it now, because he sees what's coming. So yeah, that's a whole other conversation. Next question here. What would be a win for you? I love asking people this. What's a win for you? Is a win for you selling X amount of lemonade in the month of March? Is a win for you, booking a gig to do a certain service for a client? I'm always curious, what is a win for somebody? What type of person would be a good referral for you? This is a great question to ask folks once you've already built some rapport. I'm sorry, this is a good question to ask to build rapport. What type of person would be a good referral for you? Let me ask you that. What type of person in your business, your lemonade business, would be a good person to send your way?
Maybe someone that owns an engine, someone that does events all the time. They can easily refer that I can be their refreshment.
Yep, I like it. Anybody else? That's a fantastic. And you know who else would be a great connection for you? Other authors. Yep.
Even me. People thirsty might be something.
Last question I have on here. What kind of projects are you working on now? Great question to ask someone. Again, all these are geared towards building rapport. I want to learn about you and your business and your brand and what you got going on because I want to help. So these allow you to get to figuring out how you can help. And help could literally just be, all right, I'm going to promote you on my social media page and shout out your lemonade. Like, that's helping. But I need to know what are those areas you need help in. So these questions, partially icebreaker, partially just for you to build rapport and get to know what's going on with folks. Now we're going to dive a little bit deeper into the, make sure we got good time here, 7:30, we got some time, good. A little bit deeper into the follow-up, which we talked about a little earlier. As I kind of mentioned to you before, you want to contact people while the event is still fresh in their mind. So this is virtual or in person. I'm looking at 24 to 72 hours to build a relationship or to send out that first communication. I tell people check their email regularly. They may be contacting you. My partners, especially you, Ebony, if you're watching, they will tell you I'm a pet peeve when it comes to email because I've been so ingrained into checking my email. I used to work in front of a computer for hours of the day. So there wasn't an email that didn't really hit me within a minute or more after I got it. Doesn't mean I respond right away, but I don't miss emails. And when other people miss emails, it infuriates me, especially if it's important, especially if it's people who I really know and you should be checking this and know it, like gets on my last nerves. Don't be the person that gets on somebody's nerves. Don't mess up your rapport because they reached out and didn't respond. Now, when I told you before, I was like, it's going to happen. It's going to go to junk box. It's going to go, like, that's kind of stuff that's going to happen. And you can't feel some sort of way if someone else does it. You have to take that and just, move on accordingly. However, you want to be the best version of yourself. So you want to make sure it never happens on your watch. Like, it's not because of you, it's because of them. The one thing I don't do is I don't check my junk box often enough. I probably got some stuff in my junk box right now that I probably should be responding to if I didn't see it because I didn't check. That's on me. But if it got to me, I'm checking it and I'm going to respond. And even sometimes I'll even set a reminder to respond later because I just don't have the brain power to deal with it right now. But I'll put a reminder on my calendar and make sure you get back to such and such's email Friday. And another thing that a lot of people do, especially if you do a lot of business on email, is you have a reminder on Fridays or Sundays or whatever to specifically go through your junk box, go through any emails you forgot to respond to during the week, because you just don't want to be that person who goes 2 weeks habitually forgetting shit. You don't want that. Search social media for people talking about the events using the event hashtag. So this is a fun thing to do. And I'm more into social media than I guess I wouldn't say most people my age, but most folks older than me. They're not really doing this. And I found it as a great way to get some follow-up networking after an event. So we go to an in-person event, it's hashtag Black and Gold Ball 2021. I'm going to go look at that hashtag and see the people who posted it, and I actually might friend them. Hey, we were at the same event, didn't meet you, but hope you had a good time. I built a new relationship, I built a new follower, I built a new friend, or whatever I'm looking to build. So I like going that route to actually build some additional connections after an event. What were you going to say? Mm. 100%. Glad you brought that up. First off, I can control what anyone else feels or thinks, but I can control what I try to make them feel or think by the words I say. So what I would say would be, and I don't know if I said it the wrong way when I said it out loud, but I would say something to the effect of, hey, saw you at the event. I hope you had a great time, because I don't know if you did or not. So I hope you had a great time. If there was something that was like amazing about it, I might harp on that. But I would say, hey, just giving you a follow. Hope you had a good time. Thanks for supporting the event. Like typically it's you support it by buying a ticket, or maybe there was a charitable benefit or something like that. So I'll be very non-aggressive in my communication. Just, hey, we're at the same event, and reach out.
Okay, let's just say you're networking, you're not, well, okay, I networked, I met a friend, I met a new friend through an old friend. But I may know my old friend is not as well put together. So the friend that, the friend that I met through them, I'm kind of nervous in how do I network with them comfortably, because I don't want them to think. I know you can't control what people think, but I don't want them to think how I met them is how I am.
Good point. And again, for folks that didn't hear that, we were talking about like
they might, for instance, their family member might be okay with being, ghetto or whatever, but I want to meet this person on a professional note. And their family member don't care. That's their family member. I just met them at a cookout or whatever. Really,
at its core is guilty by association. And again, you can't control that. So the only thing that's going to overcome any preconceived notion that that person has of you because of the person who introduced you.
But it's invisible. Nobody talks about it. So it's like a constant underline. Like I gotta prove that I'm not better than this person, but I have to prove I'm different.
But why do you have to prove that?
Because it's guilty by association.
Yeah. But the person who that person introduced you to is not the end all be all of your success. They're one of hundreds of thousands of people to connect with.
Coming from where I'm coming from. Coming from, growing from my personal page to my professional page. How I'm networking, it starts at a level of, everybody's not professional. Some networking that I did is just genuine. You may know a lot of people. I need your social media or whatever. And I see that. I do identify that you know a lot of people. You do good at talking to people, and I see the qualities that you carry, but we don't carry it the same. It's good for you, but it's not good for me.
I hear you.
I'm trying to become professional.
And as you start growing any brand, like I said, it's that low-hanging fruit, friends, family, that's who you need to reach out to. So you will get more connections from those people than you will elsewhere. So this kind of scenario is going to be frequent for you now. That's kind of a tough scenario. It's one of them scenarios where your actions and what you say, what you do will have to speak for itself. And it can't just be you're starting at an even playing field, like as if you never knew any of these people. You might be already knocked down a peg because of the person who introduced you. So you either got to work harder, or it's going to take longer for that person's perception to become clear and realize the quality of business person you are. And unfortunately, that's just a scenario you have to deal with based on how that relationship started. That's why how you build a relationship and rapport is the key to everything. And getting rapport from people who might not be trustworthy is not the ideal rapport to get, but if that's what you got, that's what you got. So
is it some credit is better than no credit at all? Or at this point, no credit is just the best way to come? Should I keep reaching out to those, I'm rough around the edges, so I don't want to say that I'm different. It's just I'm learning the discipline and when and how to change.
And that is so key. And I think the biggest thing as to what you're saying is there's an element of self-evaluation and knowing who you are and what you are as a business individual. And it seems like you have a very good perception of the world you're in, where you're trying to go, how your navigation is currently, and where it can evolve to. And realistically, you just have to understand it's going to be tougher right now until any perceptions become completely blown out the water, because you're not just 2 months into what you're doing, you're 2 years into what you're doing. And now when a cousin or someone says, yo, this is my cousin, they're not just thinking, oh, this is your cousin. They're like, oh, that's the lemonade lady. I heard about her. I've seen about her. It just takes time to build that. And there's a patience element that has to come along with it. But the key that you have is you understand the scenario. When you don't understand the scenario and it's just growing slow and you think it's for no reason, that's when you get discouraged and it becomes a lot more difficult to move forward. If you know, all right, I already got some of these hurdles against me, but I'm still grinding to get beyond it, and I'm also building a reputation that's beyond reproach on the professional side, just let that continue to cook, because it'll take you where you need it to go over the course of time. It will go faster if the people who were in that circle that might be giving you a bad impression or whatever weren't there. But, you know, like I said, you got what you got. Right. Less professional than the appearance you want to provide. No, I fully get it. And we'll dive into some other techniques on how to do that once we get all. Y'all don't get all the secrets. Y'all ain't here in person. Last thing I have on here to follow up is search your new contacts out on LinkedIn, connect and reference the event. So this is just like what I said to do through the DMs or through, you know, kind of finding that hashtag, is all those people who you got business cards of, you know, the folks who ran the event, whatever, search them out on LinkedIn and connect with them, build relationships. You want to build your LinkedIn relationships as much as possible. And this is just a great way to go and build a bunch of people that connect with them right off the bat. So that's not going to be your last question. Don't tell me that.
Last question.
Yeah.
How?
Come back to it. Well, I think that was my last one. Yep, that was my last one. And hold on 1 second. So, folks, like I said, we just kind of ran through this series, everything from connecting, some best tips, some icebreakers, conversations. We just finished up with the follow-up. I'm going to leave the Zoom on for probably another 5-10 minutes or so. If any folks have any questions, you're welcome to throw them in the chat. I'm still monitoring the Facebook. Let me just put an eye on there. Okay, MyNEWPhilly commented. Cool. So yeah, if anyone has any questions or anything, just throw them in the chat. They can be specific to your business, to what you have going on, or just more general about networking. And another reminder, tomorrow is our graphic design Canva workshop. So I'm going to be going over basics of how to use Canva and get busy on that platform. It is a free tool to do your graphics and visuals. And I'm looking forward to showing that to people tomorrow. So that'll be tomorrow, 6 p.m. live here in studio and also on our Facebook page. But for the meantime, again, if you have questions, feel free to shoot them in the chat. And again, for the people that are here, I'm going to stay around and talk and answer some questions. But again, thank you for checking out the Network Like a Boss in person and virtual. Put this all the way back again. Gonna get that slower.
But the workshop is 8 weeks, and it's usually very costly, but it's free. And I never been, but it seems nice, and I do know a person education, so everything's written out for myself. Yeah.
It's like, I have a question about like social media business meetings. So I don't know if this is like a concern, but I understand.
And come up here. Hold on. Let me take it off of this one. I'm about to make sure people know there's people out here. She's like, yeah, no. we put on my camera. This is Tasha, right?
Yes.
Hey Tasha, everyone say hi to Tasha. You got Yasmin and Dorian over there. Hey y'all, we here in the stew chilling. So what was your question?
So my question was, I noticed that a lot of entrepreneurs still have their business page, and then that's when they'll get like hundreds of people to follow them, and then that's when they'll start unfollowing everybody and follow nobody. Is that professional or unprofessional, or just like a new trend?
No, that's terrible.
I figured. Shouldn't you follow everybody back?
It's a way, it's a technique that people use to build their followers by giving the appearance of there's tons of people following me, I'm the wave, like get on board. And even, in terms of reaction, right? There's a chance you follow someone who follows you. So if I sit there and click on 200 people and follow them all, I might get 100 to follow me back, but I don't want my inflated follower number, so I'll just go and drop them all afterwards.
Another thing is, when you follow a bunch of people, sometimes your feed gets distorted because everybody's not as business minded as you, or everybody doesn't have the same ending goal. So I learned with my personal page, it took me, longer to realize this, but now I can't, in my personal page, I follow so many people, I can't see a good feed. So I go to my business page and only follow those who are productive in the way that I'm productive, whether it's creative, whether it's they're trying to network, whether they're starting, whether they're going, but they're business oriented. And I just use that page to follow like business oriented people.
Right.
So also Instagram does have a feature where you can mute people's posts. So even if you like, because I like to follow people back because like I don't want to be that person. Oh, you don't follow me back?
Right.
Now I'm gonna unfollow you. So if I don't want to see their stuff, I'll use like just mute their posts and stuff like that. So I don't see none of their stuff, but we still kind of got that connection, or they'll see my stuff.
And what is the goal? Is the goal to increase followers? Is that kind of why we would do any techniques?
I don't think my goal is not to increase followers. My goal is to increase engagement with followers, because you can have a bunch of followers, but they don't like your pictures, or they don't engage, or they don't come out to your events, or they don't buy your product. My goal for me is to engage in people that's looking for engagement.
So
not entertainment.
What techniques do you currently use to do that?
Right now, I don't have any techniques at this point. At this point, I'm just trying to minimize the people that I follow, who I see, that are not, doing the things that I'm doing. I'm not gonna say, just basically not.
You're talking about your business page or your personal page?
My personal page as well.
Okay.
Because it still affects a distorted like thinking. If I open my Instagram and I see, oh, F this person and F that person, even though it's silly entertainment to me, it puts me in a mentality of F people.
100%.
And I don't want that mentality.
Right.
I'm in a mentality of growth and change. So if I see you fitting that kind of stuff, I'll unfollow.
Right.
And it's okay if I lose that type of follower, but that's not what I want to entertain at this moment in my life.
Right. And I got a technique that you can use that will increase followers and engagement. And the only reason I don't do this to the level of nauseum is I don't have the time.
What's level of nauseum?
To the point where I'm sick. Nauseum as like nauseous, like I'm about to, like you literally could do this all the time and you will see your followers skyrocket, this technique, but you don't have all the time in the world. Like I when I have an intern, like I have a couple interns now, I make them do this for some of the accounts that I manage. So first thing first is to identify some key hashtags that make sense for your industry or your business or people that you want to connect with. If you are, what's your profession? What do you say you're in? So you're a photographer, videographer. So photo, video, cameras, even the name of like Red Dragon, some of the different types of cameras. Follow those hashtags. What's your space?
I'm author and podcaster.
Author, podcaster. So authors, podcasts, books, words that both people who like you would probably follow and people who support people like you would probably follow. So you're gonna search out those things. So let's say the first hashtag we're gonna work with is author. So chances are if you search author, and I'll do it right now on my Instagram, so we'll give you a real-time example here. And folks, if you're still watching, anyone on Facebook, y'all can do this too. Just find out your ideal tag. So author currently has 11.1 million posts. That's big. That's a lot. Someone is probably tagging author every 20 seconds. I'm going to click on author. And now what I'm going to do, well, first I'll follow it. So you can follow hashtags. But you're going to see where you have top and you have recent. You got top and you got recent. Click on recent. When you click on recent, you're going to find the most recent post. This post was posted 8 seconds ago. And it's not in English. It's a little cat. I'm scrolling down. This person got some book covers on there. Sometime this person got some, I don't know what the story is behind this, but you'll see. If I scroll down, I'm scrolling down 10 posts, and the last one was 3 minutes ago.
Okay.
So let's say out of those 10 posts, 6 of them are relatively relevant, whether it is from an author or someone who's a big book enthusiast or whatever. What I do, or what I try to have my interns do, is now in sorting recent, go on that post, like it, comment on it, put something on there. If it's books, just say good books. You can give a thumbs up. You can do a smiley emoji. The better of a comment you leave, the better result you're going to have. And the result you want is for someone to notice you, but more importantly, someone to follow you back. So if you sat there, first off, because again, look at what happens to you. When you post, you know the first person who liked your post or commented on your post. You see that kind of right away. You're still in your phone. So, oh, snap, this post must be popping. Someone said something. Even if they just threw a smiley face or something, you notice it. And that's what you want to do to other people. You want to get them to notice you.
What about those bots? Like when you first started, like, oh, promoted on this records. It's like, is that real?
Say it one more time.
Like, you know, when you post something and it goes back to the hashtag, and you were saying, or they'll be like, oh, promote this on reality records.
Yeah,
like,
I hate bots so much.
Yes.
But they're using the same technology to put ads in front of you at a ridiculous clip. You're basically doing this manually and genuinely. So this is not the same. We'll get back to that. So let's say author, I went in there and I saw this person's asking to like, follow, share storybooks. Okay, let me give a little heart. I might say awesome graphic. This is a ridiculous, I don't even, they ain't take my Canva class. So they made that. I could be like, oh, nice butterflies. Whatever the heck I want to put on there. What's going to happen is they're going to notice that comment. Because again, most people in general, unless you have a ton of followers, you don't really get much engagement. You see that issue. You don't have a lot of engagement. So I'm going to see the one person who commented and I'm going to look to see who the hell is this that commented on my page. And now I see on this, all I got to see in your captions is that you're an author. Interesting. All right, I might follow her. Now let's say that happens 3 out of 10 of the people you went and commented on. You wasted 10 comments, but you got 3 people that actually followed you back.
I mean, better than nothing.
A hell of a lot better than nothing. And what if you commented 100 times? You get 30 followers. And if those messages you left weren't just emojis, but were like, oh, I look forward to reading that book. Or, oh, awesome, I'm an author too. Something that has a little more thought and clearly is not a bot. It's someone
emojis.
Actually talking.
It's like the fire emojis or something that just took over.
Anything like that. You could do that, or you could do like something a little more substantial. Now you might get 6 out of 10 that follow you back instead of 3. So again, the time it takes to sit there, and here's what I do too. After I gotten down and did like 20 of them, I go back to the top of the page and I refresh. And I go to the next 10 that just got posted, which nothing else got used. Oh, yep, there we go. There go the cat. How many of that? That's
like
12 posts already hit in between when I started doing it and just now. So now I'm gonna go and hit these 12 because I want to be noticed. So I'm taking my time and energy to go on pages that might be worthy, because you might come across some stuff that you're like, yeah, I want to follow them. Another thing I tell people to do is get inspiration from that. When I'm looking at people's posts and I'm like, why did they do the post like this? Or I'm looking at a graphic and this person has a really nice quote post that they just did where it's like it's a mountain on the outside and they got some things. It's a visually appealing post. I like that. So I might bookmark it and save it in like posts I like or something like that. So for you, hashtag videographer, comment on everybody's stuff, because there's going to be people out there, especially if they're above you, they'll be like, oh, look at this young brother out here like following my page or checking out my stuff. Let me give him a like. Let me give him some advice or whatever. So that is an organic way to both grow followers and grow engagement. Now these people will start to comment on your page. So that I swear by it. I've had accounts go from 200 to 400 followers in a month doing that technique, doing it with the right hashtags. You can also do it with the wrong ones. So there's a big factor in that as to how you go about, doing it that way. Another good thing to note when it comes to sort of techniques in growing is, using your stories the right way and some of your posts the right way so that they are engaging.
But you were saying like tell a story, not just like, this is what I ate today, or like stuff like
Give,
that.
give a little substance and ask a question. It's the best way to get engagement. You put up a photo, you take a photo, take a black and white one, and then take one in color and put them, I guess not side by side, but above and below each other on your Instagram stories, and ask people which one you like more. And they'll pick the black one or the other one, but they're engaging with you. That's the kind of stuff that you have to do and weave into your social strategy so that folks can really latch on and start to get in that habit of connecting with you. And for y'all folks on Facebook, I'm about to cut y'all off. Let me see if anyone's commented. I don't have anything else new. So again, make sure you guys check us out tomorrow, Canva, 6 o'clock. Be showing you guys the ins and outs of Canva. And yeah, MyNEWPhilly content workshops all month. We have production coming up with Ebony Dukes, personal branding with Ebony Dukes. Kyrie is doing drone flying, videography, lighting, editing, and sound. All that stuff is coming up in the next week and a half. So make sure you register and get some of this free work. Peace.